Hey, it's Patrick from JMP Cycles. We're going to show you how to install Kuryakyn's bullet turn signal bar on our 2012 Road King here. Now this is going to be basically the same for the late Evo Road King all the way up through Milwaukee 8 Road Kings, with maybe a few little changes that I'll address along the way. But one of the main reasons for wanting to do this is we're trying to clean up our Road King fender here. We've kind of added some sleekness to it with a laydown license plate holder with Custom Dynamics laydown smoked pro beam LED taillight. And now we have this really huge set of turn signals here that we want to kind of shrink down, and we're going to use that small turn signal bar. And why we're using that is because of the way the Road King is built here, you're kind of stuck with a few things. Whereas maybe a Street Glide fender is going to be real smooth right here. You got these divots, these little indentations on the Road King fender to hold this big bar. So that kind of narrows down your options of what you can do to kind of shrink all this down back here. But this Kuryakyn setup here with these bullets is kind of just what the doctor ordered. In this case, we're also going over to a red lens back here. Most places you can do that, but make sure to check your local ordinances to make sure you can run red lenses back here. But the first thing we need to do is to remove this bar. And we have to do a couple of things. We have to pull this lens off and unplug. Inside here, there's going to be two plugs we have to unplug that power these turn signals. After that, on the inside of the fender, there's a 1/2-inch bolt on either side. It's pretty easy to get to from the inside here. So we'll take this off with the Phillips. We'll unplug our turns. We're going to set this out of the way for right now. And then we're going to take the 1/2-inch wrench up inside the fender and take the turn signal bar off. For right now, we just want to unplug our taillight and get it out of our way. So to release your little turn signal plugs, just take a little screwdriver or something, press down on this little tab here, and these will pull right out. After you have them loose, shove them through the little holes there, back down to the inside of the fender. Now we can go on the inside with our 1/2-inch wrench, pull each one of these bolts out, and then these wires will pull through these little grommet holes in the fender. So we got those plugs pushed through those holes, and now we're going to go up under the fender, take the 1/2-inch bolts out here that hold this on, and then these wires, you can see I pulled them loose here, they're going to pull through these little plastic grommets in the fender right here. Also inside here, right below the bolt you're going to be taking out, is a little clip that's holding the wire. You just need to slide it out of that clip. So we have one bolt out. This is the bolt you're after in there. I'm gonna put mine back in just for 1 or 2 threads. I suggest you do the same. Otherwise, if I go over to this one, this is gonna be slopping up and down in here and could scratch your fender. So I'm just gonna stick this bolt back in here, put a couple threads on it. So I have both of the bolts out. Kuryakyn does send new bolts for their bar, so we don't necessarily need to keep those. But then here is where you can see the grommets, the fenders, the wires got to come through the fender. Again, this is another reason why it's hard to get a lot of options on a Road King fender as far as turn signals are concerned, because this is what you're dealing with. If you replace them, put them somewhere else in here or something, you have to deal with these holes. And short of taking this off, fabbing this all up and having it repainted, you're kind of stuck. So that's what makes this Kuryakyn bullet turn signal setup so ideal. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit here, and then we're gonna go over to the table and we'll get the bar prepped. Okay, so this bar can be used on late Evo models all the way up to M8 models, and depending on what model you have is going to be how you configure this. So there's a little light here and this bracket here. So I've put this on an M8 and I've used these before. This light is to light this license plate up down here, and this bracket is to hold a license plate. Well, we don't need that because our license plate is above our tail light. So that bracket's gonna go away. These 2 screws are to that bracket, that's gonna go away. The other thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take this light off, because otherwise we just have all this wire and stuff in the way. They give you the option of some crimp connections. I don't like using those. And then here's some zip ties that I may or may not use. So all we're gonna need are these are the plugs that will plug back into the stock location. So we're going to cut our wire to 8 inches a piece, which is about all we need. and then we're going to solder these on to our black and purple wires, doesn't matter either side, and then this thing's gonna bolt right back up and plug back in just like stock. So we're all soldered up, and what we need to do is slide these through these grommets. Don't worry about fishing them through here yet. Just get them through the grommets and then get the bolts started on the inside. These are like locking bolts, but I went ahead and threw just a little bit of blue Loctite on there. 1/2" wrench is what you're gonna need for this one too. So we'll get these threaded through here and get the bolts started. And just start one on one side and start the one on the other side. If you tighten one all the way up, it's gonna be hard to start the other one. Don't cross these. You want them to stay on the side they're on. So like this wire, stay on this side and it'll plug into this plug, this one on this side. You don't wanna get them crossed, otherwise your turn signals will be opposite of each other. Another thing to think about is these holes don't come straight out of the fender. You're kind of at an angle. So if you're trying to push the bolt through straight, it's not gonna go into the hole. I like to try to pull as much of the slack as I can into this taillight area here and not have it on the inside of the fender. And then these just plug back in. We'll do our other one here. When we get these done, then we can plug our tail light back in, put the lens back on. Plug our tail light back in. You can't really mess this up. It only goes in one way. Put our assembly back on, and we'll turn the bike on and check out our handiwork. So the light bar really works out great. Gets rid of those huge lollipops on there, really tightens things up, matches our lay down license plate and lay down taillight perfectly. Couldn't be happier with the back end of our Road King right now. As always, have any questions or comments, hit us up and go work on those motorcycles.